make their horticultural activities more productive, and then we also teach them on how to protect their environment by planting more trees. We have worked with women's groups to help them start their vegetable gardens, where we provide the inputs to set up the garden, we train them, and we dig the wells that they need to use in order to irrigate their produce. We go back, train them on how to market the produce. So we are very actively involved in the food security, environmental production arena sector in the Gambia. We are very well known. Of course, our nursery here in Brikama also has been the input for many other orchards that have grown, that have been developed over the years in the Gambia. The quality of our seedlings is very well known. We have introduced a lot of new varieties into the market that we were the first at the time to do. So we are proud of our legacy and how much we have contributed to the development of the Gambia. And we are excited that the opportunities continue to exist for us to contribute to national development. We are planning to renovate the jam factory. We have just completed a mango processing center funded by the Japanese government, where we are hoping to introduce a new product which will be dried fruits. So it will be primarily dried mango that we will package, but we are also hoping to make mixed dried fruits that you can use. Like somebody said, you could even use the mixed dried fruit with oatmeal, and there you have muesli, and the hotels could buy that. So we are looking at other income generating activities that will help us to cover our costs, basic operating costs here. But in terms of our work with our communities, we see an opportunity in the area of women's empowerment, but linked to food security and sustainable livelihood. One of the big problems that are surfacing over the recent years is the problem that women's groups have around ownership of land. The women, as we all know, women of the Gambia, we work very hard. And more so the women in the communities. They work so hard, but then their challenges are daunting. And one of the most important challenges that they have is the land where they grow the food for the farm to feed their own individual families, but also to feed the communities. In many communities, the women have to go and beg to be allowed to grow the food on a piece of land. This land never belongs to them as a group, as a group of women serving the community. Somebody can just wake up one day and say, I need that land back, it belongs to me, I need to use it for something else. And there it goes, an opportunity. What used to be an asset for them now is no longer there. So we want to take that up together with other partners in the field to advocate for access to ownership and control of productive assets, and not only land, because machinery is a problem for women, access to credit is a problem for women especially. So we want to be advocates for women to improve their access, ownership and control of productive assets, including land and credit, as I mentioned, to continue to help them grow vegetables. But what we see in the next 5 years for us is not only stop at growing the vegetables, but help them to transport the vegetable, the harvest, to markets where they will make good money Because another challenge they face is, yes, they've grown the vegetables. By the time they get to a market, it has all perished because they wait there for the donkey cart to come. They pack it on the donkey cart. That will take about 2 hours before it gets to the Lumo, which happens once a week. And it's so hot that by the time the produce gets to the market, maybe half of it has already gone bad, and they have to sell it off at a cheap price. Or the other alternative being a middleman comes to the village, tells them, I want to buy your vegetables, pays them a very small amount of money, and then goes and makes huge profit out of it, out of their own sweat. So we want to be able to help them access the markets. We want to be able to help them start their own very small businesses at the village level. Maybe do some small savings which they will use to lend each other to start a business and so on. Linking them more to microfinance institutions that operate in the country. We are looking at safety net, protection, disaster risk management as another new and exciting area where we feel that with our past 30 years of experience in environmental protection, we feel that we are well placed. We have the track record to be involved, to be more actively engaged in disaster risk reduction. And there we are hoping to be able to partner with NDMA and others. We have ideas about training youth so that they can be more employable. All of that as part of disaster risk. Because disaster risk, in my mind, is not just about the environment per se. It's about enabling individuals and families to be able to protect themselves from risk, no matter what the risk is. And if somebody has employment skills, you can go and access the job market, or you can start a business, that thereby generating income that you can save so that if there is a disaster, you have something to fall back on.
We've seen quite a lot of mango jams here, but before they get to this stage, what process do they go through?
Okay. What you see here is like the second phase in the production cycle. This is when the fruit have been boiled, they've been cooked, and additives, some seasoning added there, and then they are stored in these large-sized jars, waiting for orders that will allow us now to reboil, put them in smaller jars, label them, and then transport them to the consumers. So this is the stage just before the final packaging, bottling, yes. And some of this can be here for like 6 months to 1 year, but because of the way it's been packaged, it does not spoil. It does not spoil.
So what variety of mangoes do you use? Or you can use any type of mango?
What we have here mostly is the jute.
The jute.
Yes, and we find that one works very well for jam and chutney. And because it doesn't have a lot of fiber, it's easier to process as well. So we find that one works very well. And that's what we use.
What about the mangoes? Do you run out of mangoes?
Well, in fact, just before you asked the question, the answer came through my head. It's like I knew you were going to ask it. Yes, because we want to maintain a year-round supply production, and the mango season is just for a period. It's a season, yes. So what we then do is we stock up this way, and this gives us enough for the final product for throughout the year. This is how we deal with it. This is how we deal.
In the dry season, when mangoes are not available, you will still have jam?
We will still have jam. Yes, we will still have mango jam, which is also an additional objective for why we are doing, so that you have a year-round supply of the fruit, but not in its original form. You know, because again, value added is something that the government is promoting a lot, so that producers and farmers can make more money out of their produce, they need to consider these or link up with the private sector or organizations that are able to give them more money because they are making more money out of it by making jam and the dried mango, as I mentioned earlier on.